Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, May 17th Town Board Work Session. Will our clerk, Sue, please call the roll?
Drawe.
Here.
Kohl.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Ockenden.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. And board, you have the minutes of the April 19th work session before you. I'll ask for a motion of approval.
So moved.
Second
And
that.
second, and is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Drawe.
Aye.
Kohl.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
All aye.
Very good. Thank you, and Sue, those were very nice minutes. Appreciate it. I've received all but a few monthly reports. And the department heads know who they are. Some may be here. No. So thank you. We'll hope to get them in very shortly. Guest tonight, Miss Carrie Eberts has a couple guests that I'd like to come and share with us.
Sure. So we've got Max Eberts and Jordan, Morgenstern. They're the owners of the three properties that are adjacent to one another, 1788, 1790 and 1794 Penfield Road. You'll recall a few months back, they had a portion of the backside of their property that had sort of been held over, zoned R120. They rezoned the property so that the parcels were all uniform, so they're all Four Corners district. They had approached me several months back with an idea for redevelopment. I suggested that they come in as a guest with the board to take a look at sort of preliminary concept that they had shared with me to get the board's feedback and some thoughts about what they're thinking. So I'm going to pull up an image, and I did share this in the drive. Here is, and I will bring it over.
Good.
So, and I'll call up in a moment, I'll bring up the aerial as well, so you sort of get a feel for where we are in the world. And if you want to take the reins from here, gentlemen, I think this is they're proposing a mixed-use redevelopment that includes housing and some first-floor retail.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for having us here tonight and taking the time to hear us out. Carrie's been.
Mike,
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, there's a mic in front of you.
you can use that one. Yep,
Am I on?
You're already on.
Okay, sorry.
you're good.
So again, thank you guys all for having us here tonight and hearing us out with our, I guess, early stage proposal kind of idea. Carrie's been, awesome to work with, and we couldn't thank her enough for sort of coaching us through the project. It's not something either Max or I have done before, so she's been, a help to sort of get to this point.
Good. Thank you.
At a high level, we purchased this property about a year and a half ago. We one of the things that stuck out to us with the property was this giant's a strong word, but a big piece of land in the back of the property that really felt like it was being underutilized. So we were sort of drawn to the idea that, hey, this is great the way it is, and it sort of has a character that sort of meets that Four Corners district, but perhaps there's sort of more there that we could sort of, build upon. We've met with architects, sort of come up with a plan to sort of, again, build off of what was there, sort of the look and character of what's there, and then sort of add, multifamily housing in the back of the property that would sort of tie in, and use a lot of the, the coffee shops, the banks, the restaurants, the walkability of, the Four Corners. So, in our mind, we're not married to any idea. We're sort of here to kind of get your feedback, both as the plan in general, and then perhaps in detail what you'd like us to what you'd like to see there, and sort of, go from there.
Can I ask before we get started? So, Carrie, I see that you're highlighting a few parcels there. Can you just help me orient the picture of? I see Penfield Road on the right side of the PDF that was submitted as part of the work file.
Yep.
Thank you.
So if, it might be easier for me to rotate the view so that you're looking at it in the same direction as the imagery. So just bear with me for a second. So this might be a better way to look at it. So, and then this is, again, a very conceptual drawing, so it doesn't show where the the existing lines are, but I'm going to sort of do them side by side, and that'll maybe help.
I don't know.
In theory. And maybe we do this, and we slide it over. Okay. So, again, the lower level here would be the Penfield Road.
Right.
That drive is sort of aligns with the current drive on Penfield Road. This is the existing building that you see here.
Church-looking building. If you see from the road, it was a church at one point.
It was an Advent church back in the day.
Correct, yep. And it's been a dental office
Yep.
for at least 15 years, and the dental office is going to remain. We're not doing anything, the church isn't part of the development plan.
Historic.
So that existing building is this building here. And then the remainder of the plan would involve demolition of these two structures. That's
Which are now what? What are they?
1788 and 1790.
What's in them now?
Office tenants right now.
Is that the D'Amelio, the doctor office?
Oh, we need
No.
mics.
Church
Yeah.
building.
No, he's in the church.
I'm going to have you move the mic down so that they can.
The Millers in the church, it's like, there's like a maid's, I think we have 2 cleaning offices, like commercial cleaners.
Okay.
There's what's the financial advisor?
Edward Jones.
There's an Edward Jones office, sort of like small.
That was the dual property, then, that's the, yeah,
There's a barber shop.
yeah, it's dual property. I always look at Dr. Duell, Peter Duell, the actor and all that, and Dr. Duell, he was a well-known doctor in Penfield back in the day. I look at the historic elements, so bear with me when you start
no problem.
talking about the buildings.
I don't think the 2 buildings that we've talked about, like removing or building on, have any historical significance. Is one of the conversations we had with Carrie, that those existing buildings, I think, do we say they were from the 70s, Carrie? Is that where we?
I'm checking the year. They're from the late 60s,
60s.
and early 70s.
Which buildings is that? That's from that era?
17. The building at 1784 is 1975. The building at 1788 is 1969, I believe, 1980. So the buildings in question weren't
Are not historic.
are not historic. They're newer construction, 70s and 80s.
Well, it's in the rolls. You question whether or not it is.
Yeah, that's, I don't think that's accurate, but,
Yeah, it seems late.
yeah.
Okay, so.
But we'll have to
we
look at
probably
that a
have
little
to
closer, yeah.
check
How about
that.
the garage where the chicken sandwich, they changed their
Chick
name?
magnet.
No,
It's
they
called the magnet.
Just the
magnet.
magnet
yeah.
now.
Is that, what's the plan for that building itself? Is that?
It would remain.
That would remain, gotcha.
I think it's off to the upper right there.
Yeah.
This is the building where the Edward Jones is located, and the one adjacent to it.
Yeah, the magnet's directly behind the church.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is good, yeah.
Edward Jones building is here.
Yeah.
The other building's a little bit difficult to see because we've got full tree cover, but it's that one set right there, correct?
Yep.
And that church structure would remain.
So the 2 structures to the left are proposed to be demolished, and then a new structure put in the same footprint or same general space.
What's the next one on the other side of the Edward Jones building, we'll call it? That is coming down, right, the next one?
Yeah, it's a similar use. This is same type of building.
There's a walkout back.
Where'd it go?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
It's
Oh,
hidden
here,
behind the tree, right
Okay.
here.
Right. Got it.
Do you have any concept thoughts of what the face would be towards Penfield Road in a new building?
I think we'd look to you guys for feedback on what you'd like to see. We're not married to any particular design. There was conversation about a building in Fairport, a newer apartment building that was built in the village of Fairport
Yes.
in the last couple of years that
Yes.
people seem to like.
Yeah. Next to the church.
Yeah, the
Correct, yeah.
brownstone kind of.
It's like a brand new,
Yep.
first floor, it's very similar, first floor commercial with apartments behind and above it.
Is that what you're talking about, that kind of look? Okay.
I'm not married to any
Yeah,
particular.
yeah.
that's
Okay.
good.
Well, they've got like 2 or 3 new complexes
that's like
over
one
there, so
big
I'm trying to remember
building.
which
Right, but I'm
one.
saying the one right on, I think
Right
it's
on
Main Street.
Yeah.
Real close to the curb.
I think there's the old bank branch that closed, there's
Right.
the big complex with the parking that used to be probably a grocery store. Then there's like the old bank, and there's a proposed right now, I think, a Starbucks there. Then another small bank, and then I think this apartment building.
Okay.
Like in that sort of string.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to the ideas of bringing people to the Four Corners
Exactly, yeah.
for the reason you mentioned. I think that's attractive, right? You can hit many
Yep.
things right there
Yep.
walking. I, of course, would want it to be, look the part as best we could from a historic
Yep.
perspective for that area.
Yeah, it certainly has a look to it.
Yeah, and
I
if
appreciate that.
we could, capture some of that historic look in a new building, that's something I would be interested in seeing.
And I think on the face, weren't you looking at like three stories on
It's
the
sort of
front?
similar to what's there now.
Is it similar? It's not higher?
Again,
Yeah.
we'd have to design it.
Yes.
But the back of the space is sort of 3 stories now. And from the road, it looks
Right.
like 2 stories.
Right.
So,
So
I
it'd
mean,
be
it would be
similar
built in, it would be similar to the
Okay,
way that
good.
looks now.
Okay. Because I think that's something that you wouldn't want it to, overpower the,
Well, it takes away the look at what's
The-
now. And I don't know why I was thinking, but I was thinking you were going in the back with the
I mean-
parking lot, and it was going to be behind the parking lot, not in the front.
I think there's 2
Well,
pieces to
there's
it.
another-
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I didn't
more in
realize
the
it was
back.
the front parking lot and back,
Yeah, if you look at the image there,
All right.
there's the parking between that sort of separates it. So I think from the road, it would be 2 stories the way it looks now, and from the back, it would be 3 stories because of the grading of the site.
But it's not taking away the parking, it's on the land?
There's, it's on here. I don't want to misquote the number of spaces.
75
Yeah,
spaces.
there's 75 parking spaces that will be there. Sorry. It's my artificial intelligence. I got to say next.
Can I ask, for the proposed 3-story in the rear, that's 35 units, is that right, for
Yep.
residential?
Yep.
And then the one facing Penfield Road, that's 15 units?
Yes.
Okay, so how many commercial spaces
There'll be 3 commercial stories, 3 commercial spaces across the front,
in both buildings?
just in the street, just on the street. That's the only commercial spaces will be right on Penfield Road.
Is it that one that Carrie has the cursor on?
The dark brown part.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that is the only commercial, and then the one to the,
On the first floor, correct. There's 3,000 square feet of commercial,
Oh, and apartments above it.
correct.
And then that middle section,
Would just be residential.
it's just residential, and then there, where Carrie is now, just residential.
Correct. I mean, sort of my inspiration in theory was behind Joe Gatz, like behind, in that area, in that corner, there's like senior housing or,
Yeah.
Yep.
so it's sort of that idea, that was the original thought when I was back there at Joe. I mean, I go to Joe Gatz all the time.
Gotcha. Yeah. And you anticipate there'd be rental apartments, not purchase?
Correct.
They would be
Yep.
all rental? Okay.
And it looks like you're planning to still maintain that access over towards Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, there's an easement that we're required to keep.
Still keep that there.
And again, from our perspective, we want it all connect, we
Right.
think there's value to connecting it to the hair salons and nail salons, the restaurants that are there, Dunkin' and Starbucks and the CMB. I just feel it really sort of pulls together well.
Well, you speak of that access road, that was, I remember when that was done, that whoever purchased that land, that would be the last connectivity that we could do. You'd put money into it along with the others that have, they're on the road, and then we could have a nice access road to take you from Liberty to 5 Mile Line, down Liberty, well, Liberty to Liberty, where right now, part of it's sort of
It's in-
not
yeah, it's
in
in pretty
best
bad
shape,
shape.
that it could be. It'd be an official road, like a mountain lane.
Right.
so I can't even make stick figures look pretty, So I think probably for the design, you've already heard a lot of the feedback to make it fit that style. And I think Linda, of course, has a lot of deference to the historical
Aspect.
aspect and the visual appeal of the Four Corners. I think for me, and I'm thank you for understanding the cohesion of that area and not wanting to block off access to either of the businesses or to the other livelihoods of that area. So if it's in a way that is, symbiotic to that area, I don't really have strong feelings how it ultimately looks. I'm sure you're going to pay good money to make it look good.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen,
Yeah.
our goal is to make it, fit
Sure, fit the feel.
We want people that want to be in that area, like for new construction, the rents that will need to support it. There are going to be people who want to be there, who see value. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with Fairport, but
Yes.
I was there about 3 weeks ago for the first time in ages, and it was just amazing how much activity. Like, it felt like people were, instead of going to the city, they were spending time and spending their energy and free time in Fairport. And,
They've done a
I can't imagine why this would be that much.
I noticed the same thing Saturday when I was there. There were people everywhere at all the establishments. It was.
They've done a nice
to
job in
see.
their
They
village.
do have a canal.
Oh, is this-
and
They
a
do have
village.
shoe things.
Carrie, is this the one on Main
Yeah,
Street?
this is actually.
Okay.
But I'll
Yeah.
say, I think
Okay.
our restaurants are, from what I can see, look like they do pretty well in that area.
This is good
which
to
is
show,
great.
right?
Right, that was the one. They have a business on down below, and then the
So
people.
that's similar in theory, but I think from the road, the way it's designed, it would only be 2 stories as you see it from the road, and behind it would be the 3-story
When you
section.
say see it from the road, are you talking about the access road or from Penfield?
No, from Penfield,
Penfield
on
Road.
Penfield Road.
Yeah, that's a really nice building. They've done a nice job with that. Yeah.
You've looked at the Four Corners plan,
Yep.
the vision of it, and the color scheme and everything. The colors being more of a beige, and
If you got
the
inspiration or
historic
photos or things that you'd like to see, Linda, if you could share it with Carrie, we'd be
No,
happy
I'm
to
just
incorporate.
saying, there was a plan
Yeah.
for what, the type of look that we envision
Okay.
there. I mean, if you keep it along that, mixed use, we're always promoting mixed use, and that's what you're really talking about, aren't you?
Yep, absolutely.
Too many. Okay.
Of course, I have a concern about those buildings coming down, but we'll have to check. I'll check with the town, we should talk to the town historian, because I know she has a file on
Oh, no, it
that
is
one
right
building,
next
for
door.
sure.
And we can check with the assessor's office as well and see what exactly the age of the. of
Yeah, so,
those,
I mean, the data I'm pulling is from Monroe County,
Yeah.
real
Okay.
property, and that's the information they have. So if that's inaccurate, that means Monroe County's got inaccurate data.
We'll have to do some research through,
There's probably certificates of occupancy too from when it was constructed. Like the original building permits are probably available also.
Carrie, can you remind me where we are in the process for the design process here? I'm mostly concerned about the rear parking lot and it butting up against 781 and 783. So that's folks' backyard, right? And I think Liberty Street is a residential area. So
Yeah, so I think, obviously, through the site plan process, this hasn't made a formal application. They were coming
Okay.
in to get some preliminary feedback from the town board to understand if this is something that they should move forward with formally. If so, what are the design considerations or concerns? I think when it comes to, buffering, what kind of buffering can they do? I think it's, whether it's landscaping in this instance, because of, limited, where they have parking, it might be solid fencing, those kinds of things to help mitigate sound and light. And the landscaping and lighting plan will help sort of really drive, and show that buffering is taking place.
So I live in that Four Corners. I live up behind this area, and I do know there's a big, and Mark, I don't know how big that retention pond is that would be directly behind that parking area. It's quite large, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's a nice
And we're going to have to look
buffer.
at stormwater as we get into this. It's kind of back to just to the right a little bit, so that's kind of the discharge of it. That hard to kind of see from an aerial, but that is a pond area that directly abuts the Liberty side. As we get into development and further on, we'll have to look at stormwater, whether that's a pond, whether that's underground storage, it could be under the parking lot.
Okay.
Depends on the amount of impervious area and everything else, but that's kind of down the road and more the design
Right.
end of things.
is it roughly go back as far as like Hong Wa's building there? Is it?
I think it goes a little bit I think the property
A little
lines
bit
is
deeper.
those rectangles.
Okay.
that's That's my concern, to be honest.
I don't know, I think, I mean, I'd be okay if this went to be seen by the PRC.
PRC, yeah.
Because they know the technical aspects better than us. We're looking at just the concept of it, but they could get a little more into what the issues might be that we're maybe not
I
as,
think that's a good point.
Yeah, I'll be honest,
about it.
before they spent money developing engineered plans that they might bring to PRC,
Maybe
this
they'll
felt like a good level of like detail to provide to the board to make sure this was something they should even pursue from a formal application. Certainly, PRC would be one of their first stops early on so they can understand some of the design issues or concerns that engineering may have. And folks on planning might point out, connectivity opportunities or other things that we might be aware of. We just didn't want to have them go too far down the road without this board's input.
well, that's all good, but I was thinking they could look at this instead of having to go out and pay for the extra
Sure,
money.
plans.
Yeah.
Just take a informal look and
Absolutely.
help us
Before they
along.
move ahead. And one thing, I don't know if the board is agreeable to this, we would like to, before we do it, maybe move it to them, looking at those two parcels and see the exact actual age of those buildings.
Yeah.
It sounded like
Yeah, I
you
think we
guys
got a
would
little
like to
homework to do
Yeah.
before we can give a solid
Perfect.
answer, in my opinion. Are you married to that footprint as it is, or is there flexibility in your initial
I think there's
thoughts?
certainly flexibility.
Just thinking of Candace's comments about depths and that, and,
We asked Hanlon to come up with what they thought to be the best layout, to take into consideration the parking, that we don't want to lose parking.
Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just curious how open you are to.
Yeah, well, I think again, part of just being here is just getting your
So
feedback.
early,
You tell us,
yeah.
hey,
Okay.
these are things we'd like to look at, we can.
Yeah.
I think as Carrie pointed out, just to get to this point was thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
We can ask them to do a second plan, but each time we do that, and then if you're saying, hey, we really we're open to the idea, I'm open to doing more plans for your input. If you came here and said, this is a terrible idea, we don't want to do
want
it,
anything
then
No, I
they
think
cut my losses.
we want to be respectful of your
Yeah.
time and money, too. Right, we don't want you to go down a path, so we'd like to
Absolutely.
do a little homework on
Absolutely,
this
yeah.
end, and then work with Carrie and get back with you. But I think,
Perfect.
right, the board's pretty
I think
amenable
that's-
to looking in further.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I support whatever ideas to keep that Penfield Four Corners vibrant and more vibrant.
I know.
I
think that's important.
So I think my two primary is going to be, again, how does it fit with the cohesiveness of the residential and commercial areas, and how are you going to fit into that area with flow of traffic and just existence in general? And then two, really that back parking lot, I wanted to make sure we don't green light this and then have the folks who live there.
On Liberty Street,
Right.
abutting it.
Yeah, because I definitely understand that the 35 units are going to need parking spaces, right? But it's good to hear that at least you're flexible in case 35 may be recommended to reduce to 30 or something, just to pull the parking back a little bit or to create a buffer. But again, I defer to the engineering and environmental there.
Right, I think the parking is going to be one of the bigger issues. If Guacamole is one of the most successful restaurants there, right? There's people parking in all those lots that you're talking about because the parking lot for the restaurant's not that big. So, what happens when they can't find a place to park? They're going to be parking on
They park
Debbie
on
Street.
Liberty. No, they
They're
did
gonna
park on Liberty. They were on Liberty they park on Liberty.
There's some concerns about what's existing and how the impact will be to them as well. So,
Yeah.
that's the kind of look, we really got to take a look how many all the businesses, what they need, and then how much you would need, and see how it could if it overlaps or it works out.
We're hoping that the office uses are more of a daytime use, and that the residential is more of an evening use, and that perhaps the parking works well together.
But then you have restaurants, and then that restaurants are night too, so that's an issue.
I mean, other than the chicken restaurant, those restaurants aren't on our property.
No, but Guacamole's right down the street, and they have
But
no
this is
parking.
but I think what they're saying
I know
is
it's
that this
their
is
land.
their land.
I know,
Well,
but just consider what happens, the residents that go to these places.
What would be the parking for the Magnet, what would,
I mean, I think that, I mean, if you look at the size of Magnet, maybe there's, 8 customers and
Yeah.
4 employees at a time.
And they're not always open either. They have different hours.
And we kept the parking right near the road for the dental office. We know they've got, some elderly, customers, patients that we want to make sure they didn't have to like walk through the parking lot and there was, adequate
Yeah.
parking for them.
Okay, so next steps, I think we're going to validate the dates. I don't know if that can be in tandem at the same time, at least the informal PRC visit gets made, just so
Yep.
we can optimize or
Yeah.
maximize the,
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have them come to the next available, whenever it's convenient for them to come to the next PRC. I'll coordinate with both, and we'll get you guys on a schedule. Have you come talk to
That sounds
everybody.
great. And if you guys even want to provide some inspiration for the exterior, we can start looking at that and taking that into consideration.
Fair enough, yeah. Great.
All right, thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
thank you for being
Appreciate
so open and flexible. Have a good night.
it. Have a nice evening. Okay. Next, we start into action items, and the first one is our bond counsel and municipal advisor for the DPW facility project, and this is Barbara Chertos.
I have to move, don't I?
And you can move around the corner.
I'm like, am I supposed to, do I have to move over there?
Well, you don't have to. We can see
there's
you
a
from there.
camera.
We can see you.
We can see you from there.
Camera found you.
So welcome, Barbara. Thank you for coming, sharing this with us.
Down the corner.
So as we know, the board is moving forward with the DPW facility. With part of that, we would look to engage bond counsel, which would be Tim McGill. He actually has, I know Carrie uploaded a list of all the projects he's been involved in, so he's been involved with the town for a very long time. And he actually, his letter, his engagement fee letter, actually, he's been using the same pricing for 20 years with no increase. So he's very reasonable. And obviously, last week, Pete, Debbie, and I actually met with Tim, and we met with Jason Schwartz, who's the president from Bernie Donegan, and also Tammy Billis, who is an account manager. We all met last week to kind of discuss the project, and so Debbie could meet them formally. I had obviously met them prior, but so we would look to have Tim McGill do the bond counsel, which entails preparing all our documentation for the bond sales and the notifications. He would work with Bernie Donegan's office. Bernie Donegan's office would be the municipal advisor. They currently are our municipal advisor. They do all our like annual reporting for all our official statements and anything with IRS regulations. I work with them each year to go over all our outstanding debt and bond service and things like that, if we're refunding opportunities. So we've been working with them for, actually before I even came here, but I worked with them in my previous life as well. So we would look to bring them on. They actually, thankfully, they work with Tim a lot too, so they've worked with him in many, many projects throughout upstate New York, so they're very familiar with each other. So it's kind of, they help us with the secondary market disclosure, doing all the bond ratings, working with the underwriters, doing the bond sale when that time comes. It's a little bit down the road, but I'd rather, engage them now, and then they would also be involved in kind of more information for the public as we get kind of further down the road with the finalized costs and the impact to the taxpayers. They would work with us to develop that kind of a rollout to the public too.
Okay.
And then I don't know if Pete has anything to add from meeting them last week.
I've worked with both of them for a number of my clients, fire districts, for example, and they're always great to work with, so.
That's, yeah, seemed wonderful.
Yeah, both Tim's office and BP Donegan.
Great, then I'd move for a resolution to appoint BPD Inc. to serve as the municipal advisor and McGill to continue to serve as bond counsel for this project and authorize our new supervisor to execute the engagement letter.
All right. Can we have a
Second.
second? Okay. Can we have a roll call vote?
Drawe,
Yeah, aye.
Kohl,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
Perfect.
All aye.
Thank you so. Okay. Next on the agenda is 1867 Penfield Road Administrative Conditional Use Permit for the Hunting Horn and the Hair Salon, Carrie Eberts, and I believe Michelle's up here, coming up to the
Yeah, so
Microphone?
this is an application for a revised conditional use permit at this location. It's in the Four Corners District. The composition of the building in terms of the tenancy isn't changing, just the location and the allotment of space is changing, and also the tenant, the actual one of the hair salon that's going to be operating out of there is also changing operator. So for that reason, it felt like the right thing to do to have them come in, get a revised conditional use permit. Because there's no physical change to the exterior of the building, no changes to the site, the type of tenants are not changing as well. This felt like an appropriate application to ask for an administrative authorization for administrative approval. The Hunting Horn is the retail operation that sells horse riding related equipment and accessories. They've expanded their space upstairs and then have a space in the lower level for a salon. And so the fire marshal and I came through and did a sort of pre-inspection to make sure there was no issues or concerns in the town board granting the revised conditional use permit. So I thought I'd bring it to the board to ask for administrative approval.
Any questions? Board?
Well, it's just, so this hair salon, do you have other salon activities within the?
Currently, no. I am the Hunting Horn. I'm upstairs.
Oh, you're Hunting Horn. The salon, though. You're doing both?
No, or no.
You're representing because
Yes.
it's your property.
Yes.
So when they come in, if they're approved, they're not doing anything different than when it was Wendy
No, it's in a different location. Wendy at work used to be upstairs.
upstairs?
And now
Okay.
these ladies are going to be downstairs.
Okay, now that wasn't explained. So they used to be upstairs and now.
Yes, when I bought the building from Wendy at work, yes.
Got it.
I expanded myself, and now I have two overly energetic young ladies who are very excited about starting their own business. Like, they do hair downtown right now, but they would very much like to be their own bosses.
Right.
So I have the space to do that, and I would love it if you guys would approve them of working out of my building.
And it's all the parking is still the same as it was before?
Exactly the same, yep, and it's all behind the building, so
Yep.
there's no on-street, we have a handicap spot.
Yep, you do.
Did you used to have something else in there, Scottish something?
The kilt shop used
Kilt
to be
shop.
downstairs.
They're not there anymore.
Yep, nope,
No.
she left, there's been a nail salon, there's been all sorts of things going on down there.
But right now, it's you in the salon.
Right now, it's me in the salon.
And
Well,
this-
right now, it's me and nobody, but
You and nobody,
yes.
but,
The salon space is currently vacant downstairs in
Yes.
the lower level.
Yeah.
New tenant would come in once the administrative approval has been granted.
yeah?
Yeah, and I mean, they're ready to go the minute you guys give them approval, they're ready to open their salon and do their job.
They'll need a sign, and we look at the sign. Is it going to
Yeah.
be in the same location as the other one, or is it going to be on the building? or-
we talked about a sign. If they have a sign, it's going to go on, I think it would go on the building under my sign, but they don't do walk-ins, they're by appointment only. So they sort of said that for now, the sign, they would skip the sign because it didn't seem to be super.
Okay.
you know,
Urgent, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Their customers, their clients are coming with them from other salons.
Sure.
So,
No, that's fine, as long as they know that if they do want a sign, they come to the town.
back, yeah.
yes,
They'd have to come
Carrie
back
has
in.
actually helped me. There's a lot of rules that I wasn't aware of when I bought the building, full honesty. So Carrie has helped walk me through all of these things. So yes, now I know. And I sort of talked with the girls and I said, look, I think we should get the work approval first. And then maybe 6 months from now, 8 months from now, work on the sign for the building. And then we'll go from
makes
there.
sense.
Okay.
But they literally, like, if there was approval today and the way it worked, like, if they could open tomorrow, they would. I mean, they understand it's not that fast.
Yeah.
But they're ready to go whenever, if you guys give them approval.
Is it already remodeled inside?
It's all, yes.
It's already been done?
It's
Okay,
all
that was
done. Like, literally, it's move-in ready. Yeah.
Questions?
Straightforward.
Yep, pretty
There's
much.
no change to the site
Nope.
usage, the impact analysis has been done, there's no issue. I
Yep.
mean, I think this is, so if there's no objection, I would move to authorize the director, I'm sorry?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Good, good. Yeah.
The Director of Developmental Services to go ahead and administratively issue a revised CUP here.
I would second that.
Perfect. Roll Call vote on that?
Drawe,
Aye.
Kohl,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
All aye.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Excellent, so they're all good to go?
Good to go?
I'll coordinate with you tomorrow on next steps, just in issuing the actual permit from the clerk's office.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for meeting.
coming up. Thank you
good
so
luck.
much. Have a nice evening.
Thanks.
Okay. Next on the agenda is Mr. Valentine's Allen's Creek proposal for supplemental services from Barton and Loguidice. Thank
So-
you.
Sure, thank you. So this is just kind of the next step in the process. Obviously, the board has talked about Allen's Creek several times, moving ahead with that. Actually, the bids are out for bid tomorrow. So this is supplemental services for that. So in the construction phase, to have them on site to be there to answer any questions of the contractor. We've got to do some soil sampling as part of our DEC permit, is what material is coming out of the creek, so they got to do the testing. So it includes the cost for the lab, includes their testing and the construction observation on site. So this would just be an authorization of the board, if you deem
Pretty
to move
routine.
ahead. It would be an extension of the contract with Barton and Loguidice that we've already had.
That we've already approved, yep.
So this would take us through the construction phase of that project.
I'm excited after walking with you a
Had
couple
a
weeks ago.
good site walk with the neighbors. Seems like everybody was happy that,
Yeah.
it's finally come to fruition and we're, moving ahead with it. And
Took a long time to get those permits.
been a long time coming
It's good.
on many ends, but it seems like, obviously the permits are finally there and the neighbors are on board. So hopefully we'll get some good, bids come in and
Good, I hope so
have a
too.
successful project.
Board, any questions on it? It's pretty routine.
No.
Candace or Bob?
No, go ahead,
So, Mark, I'm looking at this, and this is to extend both time and scope for a total amount of approximately $45,000, is that right?
Correct.
And when you say it takes us through the construction phase, is that through completion of
Yes.
these, the
Yep, this will
restoration
be the
project?
Yep, this will be the completion of the project. So this authorizes them, so basically, our contract with them ran up to the bid documents.
Yep.
Bid documents are going out. Now that we're getting into construction, they'll be on site 2 days a week as a consult. We'll have staff member out there every day as needed to be a liaison with the neighbors. They'll do soil sampling. They got to send that off to the lab. So this encompasses all the rest of the lab costs, pre-construction meeting and everything else that kind of takes us from today through completion of the project.
And it doesn't have any ancillary in the case there is an unanticipated hurdle or whatnot in the construction phase. So is this?
I mean, we're pretty defined just because of our permit. We've got to end by October
Okay.
15th, so that's pretty much a hard stop. So didn't feel we needed anything extra because we've kind of
Okay.
got a drop dead date is just when we can be out of the creek. So there really is no time for creep on the back end as far as when we're done and when we're out of the project. And they said this will take them through all that time frame. So
Seeing, I'd like a motion then for.
I move that we pursue, we're pursuing the
just
proposals for
Authorizing
bids.
a-
authorizing the supervisor to sign the contract
Contract for
extension.
supplemental services.
Okay.
Moved by
That-
Linda. A second?
I'll
please?
second that.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please, Sue?
Drawe.
Aye.
Kohl.
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
All aye.
Thank you so. And Mr. Valentine, again, we have the bathrooms, the Veterans Bathrooms Special Inspections Contract and the Monroe County Water easement.
So this piece here, and actually the Water Authority easement, I'll address that in a second. So this is for a special inspector to go out there to do the sampling of, once they do the proof roll to make sure the base is solid. They do density tests to make sure, the foundation doesn't settle, to do concrete testing of the stuff. So it's normal material, sampling and everything else just through the construction of the Veterans Memorial Bathroom that was with that. So the first portion is, whether the board is comfortable in authorizing the supervisor to sign that. I think it's $3,500 and change dollars
Yes,
for that.
yes.
The second item is we had a request, I don't know if we want to do a vote on that first piece, request from the Water Authority for an easement along Jackson Road. But in looking at this property, consulting with our developmental services, this property as being used as a park has the implied park usage on it. So therefore, granting of an easement to the Water Authority would be alienation of parkland. We responded to them with that piece, since it was on the agenda, they understand that, put a note in their file, and have dropped their request for that, so.
Okay.
So that's just an FYI?
So that was just an FYI. Originally,
Yeah.
as of Friday, that was a need as well, is to grant the easement to kind of keep that piece moving ahead with the Water Authority, doing some further investigations, and really that's not possible. They
Good.
were satisfied with that answer and kind of said, okay, we got it.
Was this
We're
the
good.
one where they were looking for an opinion of council that we own the land to or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
We pulled up the deeds, we went through all that stuff, and then as looking at it further, going, well, actually, it's implied as parkland. We've used it as parkland for a number of years with the ball fields and stuff on it. So therefore, it'd be alienation of parkland to grant them the easement. They said, we get it, we understand. So that dropped that condition, so.
I think
So took that off your list of items for
for
discussion.
Thursday, should do items,
For
just
Thursday, you
drop
got
by
one less
One
on
less.
that. But,
Thank-
so backing up, so if
Yep.
the board is comfortable just authorizing that, the construction inspection
Can I have a,
piece.
if,
Okay, I'll move that the supervisor sign the contract for special inspections
Perfect.
for the Veterans Park
Yes, ma'am.
bathroom.
Sure, I'll second that.
great. Thanks. Sue, can we have a roll call vote?
Drawe.
Aye.
Kohl.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
All aye.
Okay, thanks. So now we're up to the Shadow Pines project, next steps. Okay, so as you know, most of you know that throughout, we've had a process, we've been looking at, the Shadow Pines spot property. Last, I believe it was on the Wednesday, May 3rd meeting, we would have put that project out to bid for proposed pickleball courts and also some other recreation activities on there, but we decided to delay that, take a step back, and regroup a little bit on that, have a meet offline a little bit to really look at this plan and look at this proposal. I think we all heard that we heard some comments from our community that. And I guess I just want to reiterate that some of the proposal that was on the table did not involve any clear cutting of trees or land, as some have really questioned that. That current footprint of the proposed does encompass just about 9% of the total acre area of the project, or about 20 acres. But that being said, we've taken some time here. We're going to take a look at it again, look at what kind of recreation opportunities we want to make sure we provide to the community as it's been looked at, talked about for years. Everybody has some different feelings about what the idea is for Shadow Pines, so it's our job now to take a look as a board and with staff and maybe listen to the community a little bit to have some further evaluation. So I guess I would like to just ask the board how they feel about it. I know we talked about taking a look at the plan, maybe regrouping a little bit and meeting with regrouping a little bit and looking at some of the stuff. I know that some of the board members had opinions about that too as well. So, but I'll let you start.
I think that's where I'm at with it. Is, we heard a lot of feedback from the community, and I think we just need to step back a little bit, take a look at it, kind of absorb all that feedback, because it came in well after our last meeting as well. So
Right.
It wasn't just information we received that night. It continued on for several days. So I know I, for one, have been reading through some of that, trying to see if there's a common theme, for either angle that we look at. So I think it's important to keep it in front of us and not, slow down too much here. We kind of had some good headway we were making with this project, but I think it's worthy of taking a little bit of an additional look at it after what we've heard from the residents. So.
Agreed.
So I think that's a brief update so that everyone has it, unless anybody else has anything they want to offer on it.
Are we going to be scheduling
Look,
that site presentation shortly?
you mean,
Is this what you're talking about? Like a public hearing on the site plan
or
review?
public
Is that what you're-
information mean? It was,
Right?
Yes.
it seems like that's you got to have a new plan first, and then have a hearing about the plan, rather than have it be, like the planning board would, that's how the planning board would do it.
Yeah. So I think, because we've been hearing from many residents and like even getting emails today, right? I think it would just be helpful to kind of level set with everybody, right? Including the board and department, town staff, as well as the public. Because I think, Mark, it's been so many presentations that you've given on Shadow Pines, and I remember early on in some of the conversations I had asked, like, Mark, why did we have to pick that corner, right? Why can I move the bid specifications down a mile, for example? And you had explained with Eric why it couldn't be, not just because of the master plan, but because of DEC approvals and what that means in terms of impacting time with state and regulatory approvals, and that it's not as easy of just move it down, or, you know. And then I think we've also asked for different site overlays to see the tree line and understanding like the bid over a satellite image, and I see that Carrie's provided one here tonight. I don't know if it's helpful to share, but I think there's just a lot of information coming, and I know, Debbie, you've taken a lot of efforts, and you have an open door policy with your office, and different pickleball enthusiasts and different residents, and then of course those have been invested in the Shadow Pines project for years have come and shared concerns. So I think there's a lot of information that's being siloed, and I think it's just helpful to kind of level set again with all the information so that we're all working from the same set of facts, right? So I think it's just helpful.
It's up to how the board, wants to handle it. I did include in your drop the master plan,
Yes,
as it
I
was
saw.
shown, and provided that and showed.
Yeah, Carrie, will you pull that up?
In 2020, the area that we're in right now is where that committee had approved and the town board accepted.
Yeah, so-
Almost exactly where we are right now, minus a rec center. I mean, at that
Right.
point in time, we showed a rec center, we showed
Right.
the hard courts, the picnic area, the playground,
Right.
the multi-sports field. That was at 22 acres. We're at, that same amount today.
Right.
So that it hasn't drastically changed, from that time. Would happy to, whether that's at a work session or, another night, sit and go through that, or, whether we want to have a public information meeting to gather additional input from others. I think we've got, conflicting things from, several different groups. Obviously, some people want to preserve all the trees. This was the master plan back in 2020. We've got others that, just want it to be pickleball, and they've got site-specific things, for them.
Right.
Thank you, Carrie. That shows the overall kind of layout where the disc golf was, so however the board wants to handle it, and we can do it as, a work session and kind of go through why and where we got to where we are today. We could also do a public information meeting. I know we've had some input, from the public on it, but, we've been, as the supervisor had shared, this has been kind of several years in coming. It was keeping with the master plan, and then, a little surprising from the public to hear at the end that it hasn't been as open of a process when, we've shared the plans, they've been on the website, we've talked about it at least half a dozen times, with the board. We're following the master plan, so I know that some people, are.
And I think a lot of that is, if I can just Mark, is a lot of that master plan. There was a group that really agreed. They didn't come to consensus on all agreeing that was a plan that they wanted, but yet some people didn't want anything in that property. But then, as a committee, you have to, agree, come to some terms and kind of agree on it. And that was a plan that was presented to us that the majority agreed on that. I don't know, Linda, if you remember
That was the master plan that was accepted by the board back then in 2020.
We had public hearing.
Yeah, and I do, I'm trying to be really conscious too about the fact that there's 39,000 or something residents in this town that are paying for this property, regardless of what their special, what they specifically would like to, certain people would like to specifically see on that. So I think we do have to do our due diligence and remember that, regardless of what's on that property or what isn't on that property, everyone's paying for this. So it's all of our money, everyone's money. So I think that it behooves us to make sure that we're not, that we're being fair about the entire project.
So I'm not trying to redo the master plan by any means or stall the project, but I think there's just been, again, communication that's been siloed or certain misinformation, right? And like, for example, we heard many people say to preserve the trees, and I understand that, but I think it's just helpful to see, like, for example, in this picture, that tree line looks like it's going to be preserved, but in other bid specifications, it's indicated that trees will be, that specific tree line I'm looking on Atlantic is going to be removed.
I mean, and this was the concept of the master plan, so it shows it in the green area. It doesn't show exactly what's coming or going. It shows the rec center, it shows some parking lots, so it does show some tree removal. Obviously, the multi-sports fields, the trees would be removed on that. The hardcore areas would be wholly removed. You know, where originally we looked at a rec center in that area, so we're looking at a much smaller scale of just having a bathroom with a covered, pavilion area, so it's much smaller than, than what that is there. This was not, again, site-specific, which trees are coming and going.
Right.
We've got a plan now that shows that, we can be, more clear about which trees are being preserved and make sure, we had shown some areas that were future. We can take that off and make sure that it's very clear of, what's coming or going. And
Even this concept shows like the parking area for the proposed rec center is going to cover a bunch of the trees.
Yeah, and it's similarly, that's where the parking lot is showing today. That's where the pavilion is showing. The hard court's actually slid down a little bit. So some of the pieces and parts slid slightly, but it shows the 2 entrance drives, which is what we've got. It shows the 200-foot setback from the road, which we're still complying with. But it does show that northeast corner, as we had talked about, there, if the board deems it makes more sense somewhere else, again, they can be moved, but, that would be a kind of a reset of the whole project. As we had spoke about last week, we'd have to go back to because it's a county road on Wayland. We'd have to go back and get DOT approvals. We'd have to go back to the Water Authority. We'd have to go back to the DEC because we've gotten approved because it exceeds 5 acres in disturbance. That takes it out of the town's requirement, sends it to the DEC. So if we were to, we'd have to look at the size and scope of what we change. If we wholesale move it, it's almost a start over of the project, it's a complete redesign. If it's a scale back, we'll have to see how much of a scale back and what that adjusts and make sure if we are sliding it down. I know there's been thoughts of, we'll just slide it a couple hundred feet south. We're specifically tying into utilities and a hydrant at that specific location. We've gotten approved for curb cuts at that location with the county DOT. So some people's comments of a simple slide down is a redesign. It's not as easy, and then the grading all changes, the pond location changes. So, we can go through those items, and I don't know if this is the time and the forum to go through those items,
But I think that's all very important information that might be missing from I'm talking about general public understanding. There are persons that have been with you, Mark, for several years and understand that. But, folks that kind of wrote in, it was clear that for some, this sounded like all brand new information, and they just did not have the correct information, right? So that's why I'm wondering, like, I understand the board's consensus here, and I agree with it, not trying to delay the project by any means, but I think it would be helpful to kind of, again, just level set with the information, and then, like everything you just said, Mark, I think is really vital to understand.
And maybe that's a public information meeting, again, to share with the public and kind of walk through what the existing project layout is.
Carrie, can you show the original plan that we were looking at, the BME plan now, that we were looking at to possibly bid on list? Okay.
Oh, this second.
Okay.
Yep.
Sure. I don't know if you can, so this is if you look at it, similar, Mark, to where the parking would have to have been in the, right?
Yeah,
when you're
so
showing
these
us?
are the design plans we were going to go out to bid with. This shows the parking lot. This shows the 2 entrances off of Wayland. It shows the pickleball courts. Kind of slid the field to the back. We had, talked about, adjusting that a little bit there.
Yep.
Shows the connections to the existing pathways. So it is very close to, what that original master plan that, there was a committee that, went through the master plan, and, again, it may not have been 100% consensus that everybody liked all of that, but as the discussion was, if there was to be any sort of hardscape parking lot structure, it should be in that northeast corner. So, as we worked with BME, they were keeping in concept of, what that original master plan was, and they say that was back in 2019 that was issued to the board, and then I think 2020 was adopted, so that's been in place for many years, and we've been working off that kind of original layout. I know people have, individual puts and takes
Right.
on small pieces and elements, but the overall
Plan was.
size and scope
Right,
of the
was
plan
back
has been
from-
in place for
like 3 years.
3 years now,
Yeah.
so that's,
So now
again,
we're
kind of
stepping back.
surprising
if
that,
we-
as you said, some people may be late to the game,
Yep.
coming in and all of a sudden now, have some concern or didn't, or weren't aware.
Well,
but
maybe it is, social media, sure.
This has been several years
That's always
in the
good.
making, but,
Didn't know.
we can, whether through a public information meeting, put the plan up, put it in the room, and walk through those elements and, let the public,
So can we
have
print
more
some
comment.
of the, like the bid specifications and kind of the master plan? And I'm not looking for
Sure.
renderings to spend thousands, but I'm just saying,
Sure.
just to include in a public space for viewing, kind of like we have with the Clark House. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's important to note that as folks have been bringing concerns to you, Debbie, we have been modifying certain things like the walkway.
The
we
walk-
expand. Yeah, so I think we're open to feedback and we are making changes. So I think that it's important to
To
have
note that.
noted, because it's not in this specific bid or in this specific site
site.
plan. Like, we have made other modifications based on feedback. So
Yep, and-
that's why I'm proposing, I totally understand that, we might want to do a much more formal when there is a redesign, or if there is a redesign. But I think, again, because we have been making modifications along the way, it might be helpful to just level set.
and we can print out those, and as I'm looking at the screen right now, my apologies for anybody looking at home, and especially the pickleball group, that we have turned that pavilion at the south end. We've eliminated some pathways, so just, this is an older set on the screen, so if
Right.
anybody's concerned that hasn't changed, but we can, one, make sure they're up on the website, we can make sure the master plan's there with it. We can print those, put them in the rotunda if anybody wants to come into the town hall and look at them. And then most recently,
I think that's,
per
we should do
Councilman
that.
Ockenden, we had them do an overlay of where those elements sit. It doesn't itemize every tree, but it shows where an aerial image, how those overlay on top of those. Yes, unfortunately, new development, trees are going to need to be removed.
But also 100.
But we're showing 110 new
trees.
trees coming back in to replace those. So yes, I understand there's matured trees now. It's a shame, and I love trees, to take them out, but in order for, whether you consider it progress, for the development, you do need to remove those, but, this board is committed to that landscaping plan from day one to plant those trees back in. We've got to put in the stormwater facility, we've got to put in the parking lot infrastructure, so there's some of those elements that are must-haves, whether we go with whatever number of pickleball courts, we still got to do stormwater, we still got to do some other elements that, unfortunately, there's tree removal, just ancillary, but those are required amounts we've
Yeah.
got to do no matter what
Yeah, no,
happens.
Mark, I mean, no shame necessary, right? Like, I think I've heard from you each time that it's the minimum necessary to accomplish the project. You're not going in there to clear cut for fun, right?
Yeah, and I think that a little misnomer got out there that we're just clear-cutting Shadow Pines, and obviously, the intent is to keep it as park-like as possible and, minimize what needs to be done. Obviously, the board can debate the size and scope of, what the elements are, and if some of those reduce and we take out more of the pickleball courts and reduce the size of that, then, we can adjust and save
But
some
right
trees
now,
and-
we don't need to go that far. We can, I think what Candace is saying about
some
getting the most updated plans and make sure people see them, that
Right.
it's on the website. Sometimes it's not that easy to find things, make sure this is, it could be on the front, or this is the most
Yes, we
current
can-
plan,
Yeah,
right?
we can work with-
And then
We
make
can get a
some
more current plan, okay,
larger,
Yep.
And we can work with the
prints out
website to
here.
get it up more prominent and,
And put it up
project
in
of
the-
community
in the-
interest, that it can be.
But that could be in the, now,
In the-
right? They can have
Yep.
it now, but we don't make any plans for any kind of public information meeting until we all,
Absolutely.
are
And I
comfortable
think-
with what the future to pursue.
And I think it's important to remember, when we have brought the pickleball people, as you mentioned too, and we did make some changes to the, to the lodge, to,
Yeah, and as I say, everybody's
not the
got a-
lodge, the pavilion.
They didn't get 100%
Yeah,
of
what
what they
they
were
wanted.
looking for, but
We changed some, walkways.
not everybody's going to get
Would've been
100%
very
out
good.
of everything they want. Again,
Right.
we're trying to serve the entire community here, and there's elements that you may not play pickleball, you may like the playgrounds, you may not like the
Right.
playgrounds, but you like the field area, or at least having a bathroom. Right now, we have no bathroom on Shadow Pines at all. So
Right.
if you're anywhere else in the community, you don't aren't fortunate enough to live next door,
Yeah.
having a parking lot, having a bathroom, now it makes it more accessible to the rest of the community. You can go there, you can walk the property, bike, do whatever you
Right.
want to do. You've got a bathroom, you've got, comfort station facilities, there.
Right.
Where right now, there is no, comfort facilities on the property at all, water, anything else. So it makes it a little inaccessible to the rest of the community.
Yeah, and I think one of the challenges for me is we didn't receive really any feedback through that time frame, right, as the plan was being presented. The only feedback I can recall is the rec center, right? Nobody wanted a rec center.
Yeah.
We pulled that out of the
Pulled that
plan.
out, we scaled that back to
Right.
it's just bathrooms and a covered pavilion area, so we've scaled that back. There's a little bit of a shelter there. We're trying to be responsive to people concerned about shade, but also keeping mature trees right next to a court area is hard. Anytime you're in a drip line of a tree, so you're trying to get as close as you can to the tree, but not damage the tree, but if you're running equipment over it, you're going to end up killing the tree off. You also have the tree roots that are going to end up busting up the asphalt or popping the court up. So, there's a hard balance of, I understand the need for shade and kind of tuck it in.
Sure.
But anytime you're running large equipment around the trees, if you're anywhere inside of that drip line of the tree, you're damaging the roots and ultimately going to kill the tree off, over an extended period of
Yeah.
time.
So-
And that was something that I'm sorry, Bob.
No, I was just going to finish by saying,
Yeah.
for me, hearing all this feedback, though, there have been some good points made that I didn't hear before, that weren't presented in front of us, but now I had a chance to look at it and go, maybe a tweak here and a tweak there is the right thing. Maybe the playgrounds, maybe there's something a little different about that, based on public's opinion on what they would prefer, how they foresee utilizing it. So I think that's where I'm at, is looking at it and just seeing if any of that feedback is easy to tweak, and does it make sense to change it or tweak it. That's kind of where I'm at, I guess.
Yeah, and we can gladly, make sure it's prominent on the website, and then obviously this discussion will
And we'll
help get it
put
out to the
plans-
public, and then put plans in the
And put
rotunda.
plans out and.
print
so
those
peop-
out, so
Yep.
it's-
We can even, and put them over at the community center as well.
Sure.
We'll post them there so that people can, give us feedback still about, and then keep moving forward and
Recreation.
eventually.
That's a good idea.
Yep, isn't it? In the absolutely. So,
Okay.
fair enough. And so I guess your answer will be forthcoming with a public information meeting after we regroup and make sure we have everything that the public needs, the public, people have been asking for, questioning rather, I guess, clarity on. Sound fair to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, super. All right. All right. Oh, next, another favorite, Clark House update with Mr. Tate. Good evening.
Good
And Ms.
evening.
Ivers? How you doing?
Good. So 2 weeks ago, Carrie and I did attend the Historic Preservation Board meeting to share kind of the latest and greatest floor plan, concept plan that Bergman had prepared based on the feedback and request from this board to separate the storage and utility room portion from within the original Clark House.
Thank you.
And incorporate that into the lodge. I think some of the feedback we got from the board is they were happy to see that part taken out. However, they did have some concerns. It wasn't, by no means was it a formal application to the board for their consideration towards a certificate of appropriateness, but they did have some kind of thoughts and feelings on the visual aesthetics of the building and just how the lodge addition portion compared to that of the original house. So I know they did provide, and Shannon had prepared a kind of a letter, which I know she had
She
shared
did,
with the board
shared
as
with the
well,
board,
to somewhat highlight some of their thoughts, some of their comments, for consideration. Some, I guess, a request from them to potentially see some revisions to that plan. Carrie, please jump in
Oh,
if
yeah,
you've
so-
got any
Yeah, so I
other
think
thoughts.
what we were hearing from the Historic Preservation Board is modifications to the addition to help manage the massing of the building. It's obviously bigger. The Clark House is not the original Clark House, the 1832 portion, is not a big footprint. So in ways, with building materials and building choices, Roof line, I think, was one of the issues that they mentioned. So that's feedback that we can provide to Bergman to go back to see what changes they can make to the exterior that might help balance the new addition with the original 1832 portion. Window selection, building material, color choice, those are the types of things that they can look at to see, what changes might they be able to make without impacting the footprint, because the footprint's needed to achieve what the town's looking to accomplish with that space, and that sounded like the Historic Preservation Board understood that. So they provided, some of the National Park Service guidance on additions. I think that, Bergman, one of the things also I heard is that the Historic Preservation Board would probably prefer, instead of the rendering or a 3D model, straight architectural elevations, meaning what does the side of the building look like from the north, a 2D drawing that shows original addition and what the design elements are from all angles. There was some conversation about the location of the public bathrooms. People understood trying to separate that space. So I think in general, the footprint, I think we can get to a place where a certificate of appropriateness is achievable. They just need to maybe go back to the drawing board with some of the exterior finishes and maybe the massing of the roof line.
And Bergman would be amenable to do,
At
doing that.
the last work session, in addition to the request to share this with the Historic Preservation Board, I also indicated that I would reach out to Bergman to get additional proposals, basically to move on and move forward. I have had a few emails back and forth with them and told them that there's, based on the feedback from the Historic Preservation Board as well as the, pending discussion this evening, to hold off, don't do anything just yet. Wanted to share with this group to see if there were any particular comments or suggestions from this group of things that the town board itself would like to see stay the same, be changed, in addition to the comments and suggestions from the Historic Preservation Board to try to tweak that plan to a point that the Historic Preservation Board would be more agreeable.
I think we've really, keep changing it to, we're just about there, right? And so bringing it over to Historic Board, they've talked about it before. This isn't the first time they saw it, right? But this time, it was more clear to them what wasn't there that they'd like to see. And so now they've provided more of a historic context that is helpful, because we wanted to look like it fits, and maybe it did look overwhelming with the lodge so much larger, and now if we do it made sense to me what they were asking. And I think sometimes you have to wait until you see these. We saw those pictures, we see all this, and and it's like, no, wait a second, we shouldn't be doing that. We should be doing this, and their input's so important because it is a historically designated property that Penfield landmark, and we need their certificate of appropriateness, and I think what their thoughts are very, very good, and that we should take them into consideration to give to Bergman.
And to Carrie's point, I think having two-dimensional
Yes, that sounded.
plans would be more helpful. I know the particular rendering. Well, I understand it more. In the very background, you can actually see, and it looks like the building's even longer because you can see what's the current cart barn kind of in the actual background, but it makes the lodge look that much bigger just because.
So I think that 3D modeling is always helpful. It's a pretty picture, but depending on what angle the image is shot at or frozen at, can sort of distort the massing of buildings, or sort of how large or not large things are compared to each other. So I think there's a time and place for that. That's always really helpful to sort of give people a sense of like what it's going to look like. And we all like pretty pictures, but I think for the next step, having the two-dimensional drawings will be helpful in moving the process forward.
if they could get the.
So I think it's an action item in the sense that,
Yeah.
if the board, is comfortable, we'll continue working with Bergman to try to refine that plan and get to a point that, that we can come back and continue to share that with the Historic Preservation Board. And get
Yeah,
their
we
thoughts.
indicated that the next round of edits or changes by Bergman or clarifications, any, sort of change to the design, we'd bring back to the Historic Preservation Board prior to coming here for approval to move to the next step this way.
Yes.
We get their buy-in and don't jump too far ahead.
I think it's fair.
Sounds very good. Good. Thank you for that, Mr. Tate. Next on the, is still you, the Philbrick Bridge, Park Bridge, Mr. Valentine, Mr. Tate. And I know this is in response to the last, we had at our board meeting last meeting, that a couple of the Penfield Trails Committee people have made reference to this bridge right here. I was just on it the other day, as a matter of fact. It is in need of some repairs. So I know you sent your
Yep. So
crew down there to take a look at it.
Yep. So my Parks foreman, Tim Masterton, is aware and has been aware of this. We actually had already identified this on our capital improvement plan. Well, I know it was recently brought up to the board at the, as a public comment last meeting. We did have this already on our capital improvement plan. It wasn't in or planned for this year's budget. We did have it, a little bit further down, anticipated for, 2025, give or take. Because of the condition and some of the resident concern, we are taking a look to see if we need to do something with that sooner. So I can say, while I don't know for sure what this would actually cost, at least Tim Masterton and Joe Perkins, my deputy director, have met with CMI. They are a local company that specializes in helical piles.
Yeah.
They have done other bridge work for us in the past. I know there's other companies as well, not saying that they're the one and only.
For the folks viewing at home, just to explain what helical piles are, that makes a lot of sense to you, Mark, and me, but no one else maybe. Just the sensitive nature of where this is located, the fact that it's on a slope, the helical piles allows for foundation to be established without major disturbance and erosion or hillslide.
Yes.
They actually did the bridge, depends which direction you're walking from, right before that. So they were able to go onto the bridge, use a bobcat, drill the helical piles, put a panel on, drive out further, do that piece. But one of the items we're going to have to look at is, since this is in the Rennequait Creek
Buffer
side slopes, it's definitely going to involve environmental. So we're going to have to get DEC, Army Corps involved as part of looking at this process. So it's not going to be as simple as Eric's working on quotes, take it out and put it back in. We'll have to get some environmental permits for working in that area, but doing the helical coils is definitely less intrusive, less of an issue, and made the last project much easier.
Yep. So I know Tim and Joe have at least met with one company out there, certainly understanding and knowing that the extent of this, in addition to requiring permits, will be well above public bid threshold, and will require a public bid to do such, but at least trying to get a sense of kind of magnitude of what this may or may not cost. I know we had earmarked a dollar amount, kind of a pie in the sky when we indicated it on the capital improvement plan, but I really don't know exactly what. One of the things that we asked them to take a look at is not only give us a ballpark of what this may or may not cost, but also if there's any additional work that would be needed to be completed just to gain access back to this point. Is there anything when you come in from the parking lot at the park itself and you kind of track down the trails, are there any trees that need to be taken down just to gain access? Is there anything that needs to be done, to get that far back before you ever start doing any type of work? So I don't have anything back from them yet. We just met with them the end of this past week, but anticipate having something shortly, and we'll certainly share that with the board as soon as they receive that.
Eric, I'm guessing that the pictures don't do the slope justice as you look at some of these photos.
And even
Kind of
some-
looks like, why do we need the bridge?
It's a lot
Couldn't we
steeper
just?
than-
But
If you've been on there,
it's been a long time since I've been on that bridge.
and if you have small, this is one of my favorite parks to hike in, and it will be a little bit sad for me to lose what we called like the drunk bridge, because that's what you feel like when you're walking on it.
Funhouse Bridge is
Funhouse, I'm sorry, that's a much more friendlier,
family friendly.
Hike with kids?
I think we'll strike that from the minutes, please.
Funhouse Bridge is much better. Thank you, Mark.
And how much further, again, it's been a long time since I've actually got that far, but there was talk of trying to connect that to like Spring Lake Park or Parrington at some point, right?
Since project is, last I checked, is kind of, I won't say died off, but it's been on hold.
Okay.
This was one of the things we were trying to time is how does this, it'd be unfortunate they finally make their connection, get it in, and then we pull this bridge out and then take that connection out at the same time. So that's why we've had it on our capital improvement budget so we can kind of coordinate with them. Last time I talked to Parrington, that was kind of on hold. I can do another check with them and see. They've got some slope grade stuff to do. They've got to go under the bridge just into Parrington, off of 5 Mile. That's, and then kind of cut
How
off.
much-
Is that Spring Lake
This
Park?
is way before.
Yeah, if you go down.
This is when we
If you
first.
go down 5 Mile, then.
The other side of Whitney.
Yeah.
The other side of Whitney.
You have to
is
go a
the-
long way on this trail to get over towards even where they want to do the connection.
But the
is-
trail goes our trail
Our
goes
goes
pretty
quite
far.
a ways.
Quite a ways back.
This is kind of behind those apartments on 5 Mile,
Yeah.
kind of just south of the.
Right, yep, it is, right down below there.
So it's not, as Eric was saying, it's not a very, there you can see Bray Buff there. So this bridge, if you zoom in, you can probably see it as kind of just, so it's right in here.
Yeah,
It's kind of just behind there, so you can see it on the aerial. So it's not a very accessible spot. You can see the bridge just before it, where the helical piles were done before. It's a nice wider bridge.
Straight.
They took a bobcat over it, drilled the piles in. There's some grade, and then you'd have to get to this one. But
There's some steps in there.
you'd have to come in from
Broken.
the parking lot in Philbrick Park
Yeah.
and work your way up the trail just to get access to it. As you said, it's kind of a steep slope behind
It's really steep.
behind
It's
those
really steep
apartments
there.
down into there.
There's some kind of 4x4, 6x6 kind of steps built into the trail as well. That, the average person can walk up. Certainly do need some additional attention as well, but just trying to figure out how to get equipment back there to even do this portion.
So this is the topographic, so the closer the lines are together, the steeper the area is. So flat land looks like this, no lines near each other. Hilly land looks like this. So just to get a sense of,
So those are 1-foot contours, so
so that means there's a change in
slightly darker
slope
line
every
is 5
time.
feet, and
Yeah,
just to kind of give a,
Sorry, apologies for making everybody dizzy with that add-on.
okay, so we'll wait to see what kind of, some bids come back or
Well,
proposal
yeah,
rather. see
we're
what
just getting
looking
a
at,
kind of a rough cost estimate at this point to see.
See where we are.
And really, when, is this company, that's what their expertise is in doing this. So what would they even recommend?
Right.
How to actually go about this project to assist us in writing what would be the most appropriate bid specs for this?
So we can let the, Tim, I'm sure will let the Trails Committee and
Yes.
know that we're aware that we're on this project or looking into it, so.
The Parks and Rec Advisory Committee actually raised this also at the last meeting on May 9th. So, and Tim was there to give the update.
Good.
Just a couple questions. How much do we earmark for this project?
I don't think we have anything, I mean, obviously, we don't have any funds allocated, but in the capital improvement, we just kind of put, rough order of magnitude just to kind of scope out. Last, I thought we were at 300,000 to 400,000.
Yeah, I know, and
is the
I
ballpark we were
can't
in
recall
for
if
it.
this is the most recent. I know we had, give or take, 250,000 as just a placeholder.
Wait, hold on. 300,000 to 400,000, give or take 250,000?
No, Eric had the number. I was
actually had
guessing,
the-
he's reading off the sheet. I was estimating what I.
I would estimate that the 250 is, we've left that station behind, I'm sure, just
Been a
based on
couple of
recent
years, I mean,
costs.
And I think, it's been a few years too, plus, with inflation, just the cost of materials, I would anticipate that that's higher, and that's part of why Tim wanted to get a more up-to-date ballpark cost.
And then we'll have to obviously go out to bid, formal bid, and get
think we're
3
looking-
quotes and everything else to do that, but at least to give the board an idea of
what we're looking at.
the range we're in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait to hear, okay. Good, thank you so much on that. Oh, and we're to Miss Ivers, I'm sorry, no, Thousand Acre Swamp Trail Connection, Mr. Valentine.
Yeah, so this
was an
came
ask.
in from,
This was another from the Park and Recs.
came out of the Parks and Rec, came out of, through Tim Masterton, so the Nature Conservancy, who owns and operates the Thousand Acre Swamp, has put in a request in to connect to Rothfuss Park. So looking on the left of your screen, it's 5 Mile Line, Rothfuss Park, kind of as it exists today, showing that red loop trail that's out there. And then the Thousand Acre Swamp, the access is off of Jackson. They've got trails in from there, so they want to make a connection to the town hall property. So this is the first that they've wanted to do that, as it affects town land. Obviously, it's up to this board to authorize them to make that connection. I think at this point, they said it was in like a possibly 2024, 2025, but they're just looking to their next year's budget. So if this board is open to, they'd make the connection, they would do all the work and the labor. Obviously, they just want to come onto town property to make the connection, but they're just looking at their budget for next
Right.
year and say, if this is even possible, the town board is supportive of it, we'll look at what the
We
cost
wanted this a long time ago, right? And they weren't.
Long time ago.
And then, so that's great that they,
Yeah,
I
I'm
know.
talking
Yeah.
about 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had wanted to make some
know.
connections. We had
Yeah.
negotiated a small connection off the end of Saldo Lane, which is at the very bottom of your
Right.
screen.
Right, that's
And a
the
little
one.
corner
I
to connect.
remember walking back there with you and others. We were walking all down
Yeah.
that.
This is an,
We got a little connection off of Saldo, kind of in
Yeah.
that bottom corner, so this, I think, would be a great opportunity to connect to that part.
And they're willing to
this
do
is a
the,
lovely time to say an easy yes when somebody else wants to build
pay for
trails that
it,
connect to
yeah.
ours.
Their cost.
they're, right. There's,
Can you just help me to understand, are there any downsides to allowing the connection, or do you see any potential detriment to either the town in allowing it or usage of that back area? And I know there is a trail, like, is that the pink dotted line?
That's the existing stone dust path that we have out there now. The blue line is a kind of an approximate guesstimate of where they would want to come in, so that's
Okay.
not a final connection. For us, I don't see any detriment. The concern always was on their part, would a connection to town property bring too many people into their property? So it's nice that they're looking and they're willing to open it up. So for years, we've been asking to make a connection. I think they've been more hesitant to us, so I don't see any
Because
detriment
they're all
on the
about
town side.
environmental sensitivity, you know, and they didn't want a lot of people tramping through there, but now they see that.
Yeah, it's like a long
positive
trail
for
to
all.
get to their
Yeah.
other trails, so it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
it's not going to.
Yeah, there's right now is, and I've not hiked the Thousand Acre one, but I believe it's just a one in, one out. It's
It
not a
is.
loop or anything else. So this could now connect over to here and make it more of a loop trail or at least additional connection points.
I think it's a
good thing.
It's a good thing for the community. I mean, I think we're, you know.
Yeah, so I say
and
it's not an
especially if they're gonna-
immediate something happening.
Right.
I think they're looking at 2024 so they're just kind of looking at their budget for next year, saying, hey, if we're supportive of this, we can allocate more money to trail connections and, you know, maybe a 2024 implementation on their behalf.
So do we
Be a
need
great
something?
trail system.
And from a regional planning perspective, Genesee Transportation Council is often looking at expansion of trails internally and connecting existing trails that are not, like, that are near each other but not connected. So I think this would be in keeping with the, you know, their regional trail connectivity planning efforts as well.
Pete, I probably would defer to you. Do we need any formal document, you know, resolution or document, or just a document that we're
Indicate in the
agreed?
minutes. I don't
Yeah,
know if
just
it's a-
indicate in the minutes that
Okay.
the board is,
Is
all the board members
agreeable.
are favorable towards this connection.
Sure,
Favorable.
unless, board, any good?
That's
Everyone
true.
good? Okay. Perfect. Thank you, so. And now,
Do you want a roll call vote to that,
Do we?
put in the minutes, or?
You know,
okay, sure.
do as a formal resolution, that way there's no question.
Okay,
So
we'll do
moved. So, move in second? I'll move second.
Okay.
Who's second?
I'll second that.
Second?
Okay.
So,
Drawe.
aye.
Kohl.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
Thank
All
you.
aye.
All right.
That's no
Okay,
question.
there you go.
Unanimous.
We're done, we're official.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Ivers, comprehensive plan, maybe this is our final update?
This is well, at least a fun and important update. We have a draft plan document that we have ready for your review, and also, more importantly, the public's review. I wanted to talk about this tonight with this board, and then effective tomorrow morning, we would have the draft plan document uploaded on the town's website for review. My request for tonight would be to ask for permission to prepare a resolution for the June legislative session that would formally sort of acknowledge the draft plan. It would, if we're ready for it by then, we could also officially designate the town board lead agency in the action, because that is something that we've already initiated through the town board. And then set a public hearing for the comprehensive plan for the July legislative session.
And that's the July 5th.
Correct.
Session. So
Yes.
just being mindful of that the hearing is going to fall on arguably a holiday vicinity.
Yes, and then if the board felt like you wanted more time, you could always keep the public hearing open for, comment. A lot of times folks will if they have any concerns, they'll make those comments in writing. And I'm sharing it. Mark should be the one who's really talking about it, because I just picked up the ball at literally the 1 yard line and carried it across. So I should not be doing any of this talking, but since I've been here, Mark, Doug, and myself and the Comprehensive Plan Committee have worked on getting the draft to the point where it is now. And we look forward to hearing your comments and the public at large's as well.
Okay.
Well, Carrie, I can thank you, because I know the hours, I've watched you and Doug in here, and the hours you've spent getting to this final, so I know the time you spent with the committee itself too. So appreciate that, and coming in again, in the end, as you said, at the end of the game, but still, it's very important to win this, to have a good comprehensive plan, so.
Right, and just as a note for everyone viewing at home, in the past, the planning horizon for the comprehensive plan has always been 10 years, but it's always landed on an even year. And that sounds lovely, so nice even numbers. However, it also aligns with the time when the census is taken. And so the census information is never available as the plan's being developed. So in this plan, we've identified a 12-year planning horizon, which would bring us to 2035 as the next time it's due to be updated. That would help ensure that the census data from the prior census year, in that case 2030, the census would be complete, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the full set of data would be available. And I say that because the 2020 census data, even in 2023, isn't fully available yet. There's still pieces of information that have not been downloaded, or they're not available to the public yet. So the 5-year, having it done sort of at the mid-decade time works really well from a data collection standpoint.
Good to know. Yeah.
That was the town staff and town committee's sort of brainstorming idea, and it's a really good one.
Good.
Carrie, where are we on you mentioned a seeker and declaring lead agency?
So this board had declared its intent to serve as lead agent. On April 20th, notification was sent to the involved agency, the only one that has another discretionary decision is Monroe County Planning and Development, and then any interested agencies. And the interested agency list included every other permitting agency that we ever work with, the school districts, neighboring towns received our notification. So once the 30 days has passed, that actually happens this Saturday. Unless we had some objection, the town board would be able to move forward in declaring its lead agency. You could do that with this resolution in June, or you could wait to do it at the time where you're out to actually complete the seeker analysis. So we're in the process. Part 1 was already prepared, and I believe already provided to the board as part of that lead agency intent. Part 2 and Part 3, seeker is being created now, and we'll be sharing that with the board for your review and whatever changes you want to see made. But because this is an update to the 2010 plan, and there are no significant land use changes or any other types of changes being proposed in this comprehensive plan, we're feeling confident that we can prepare a very detailed Part 2 and Part 3 to the long form EAF, and move that for your review and ultimately to make to make your determination of significance at a future date.
Okay. Any other?
It's just nothing.
You're
That's
looking.
it, just
You're.
wahoo.
And so you're looking for us to
I'll do
a resolution?
just a permission to do resolution in June.
Please.
Okay,
Okay.
happy to do one.
Thank you very much. Okay. And next, the Four Corners dumpster enclosure design. I know this has been long on our agenda, or in the back of our agenda for a while, and so Carrie?
I will say this is also another team effort. So Eric, Mike O'Connor in engineering, and I have been talking about this. We, because of the threshold for public bid versus 3 quotes, we decided to reach out to a couple of contractors just to get sort of a sense of ballpark estimate of cost to see whether we have to go to bid or not. The quick answer is we have to go to bid. The pricing was coming in over the $35,000 threshold for capital improvement projects that would be in this category, which I'm telling you, it's a dumpster enclosure, and that really, the numbers surprised me.
Yeah.
In thinking about that, now knowing that we've got to go to bid, I wanted to get some input from the board about the enclosure type. When we spec'd it out, sort of to get ballpark cost, we spec'd it out with CMU, which is concrete block, CMU brick faced on the outside, and then some type of a vinyl plank metal gate so that you don't see inside of it. That's the most expensive type of an enclosure you can have. So before we spec that out, and to give you a ballpark, the lowest price we got was low 50s to do that. The other thing I wanted to share with you, though, is that it's some existing conditions, so this might be helpful.
And Carrie, can I just add one thing, just so in case public, if they're looking, is wondering why we're doing a dumpster enclosure. This is on the town.
This is town-owned
town property, so this is why.
Whose dumpsters are they, though?
Right there.
They own the businesses have them. So this is the view. This brick piece of building right here is Joe Gott. Joe Gott's. I feel like I'm never saying that right. Back here, though, this is the side where the enclosure would be solid surface of some sort. And you'll see back here there is no brick. So the back side is all some shade of vinyl siding. And even the back side of the Joe Gott's building is also not brick as well. So it occurred to me that maybe is brick the right answer as far as a design? And so wanted to maybe figure out whether or not there are others. So I'm going to give some examples and walk you through other options. I'm going to scroll through some pictures. We're doing a little show and tell here. I do apologize. To see if there's a specific style that really resonates with this group, so that if we're going to build a spec, we build it to something that you want to see back there, because this is will be a town-owned structure. I pulled some samples from existing developments in the town. I pulled some that are just from the internet, to be honest with you. This is one that's existing in the town.
It's behind.
That's behind Moe's.
Yeah.
So it's brick columns, and then it's a solid sort of vinyl plank.
I thought he did a nice job up there on that one.
Right.
Yeah. It's a nice one. Yeah.
This is another style. This is likely a PVC material. We'd want to be careful about PVC. I think the look of it could be achieved with vinyl plank, but PVC is hollow. It gets, when it's cold, it gets cracked. It's easy to get damaged. Yeah, it gets brittle. I think I'm showing this one to show that they've done bollards on the inside that helps protect these from getting hit. The other thing that we can look at too, I just want to show you some examples. The chain link fence with the slats.
That's in the four corners.
This is in the four corners.
Yeah,
It
that's
does
behind.
not hold up well.
I know.
it doesn't look
So I'm going to, if I were, and putting my former community planner
I know.
hat back on, I would say of all the ones not to select this one.
It is not good.
Because it doesn't hold up well. It doesn't even shield what you're trying to hide behind it particularly well either. That is in the four corners.
And I can attest that dogs can reach the pizza underneath there, because I have a dog that gets the old pizza behind there.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know if there's any one that's jumping out to anyone.
I would think we want to be thinking about the maintenance of it, right?
Yeah.
Something that doesn't require a lot of ongoing maintenance, which the wood is going to.
Yeah.
What's that right there? Is that some kind of like a
So this is a
T-Rex
metal,
or-
this is actually a system, I believe, that the company sells these systems, but
Yeah.
you could achieve this, somebody else could achieve the same look. This is vinyl plank, and it's a metal, with metal posts.
Trex decking.
So
Yeah,
when, like
a
when,
composite decking.
so for example, when a refuge truck came in there, they would have to get out and open, somebody.
Yeah, so I think,
they open these-
they open the gates. I think, for the composite decking gate, whether any type of gate, they're going to have to
Yeah.
get out and open it up.
Slide it or
so-
something.
I just wanted to get some sense
Yeah.
of what the preference was for material. So maybe we're not looking at chain link fence with slats.
No.
Maybe
Yeah.
we're not looking at a wood material that needs to be painted or stained regularly.
What's most forgiving when it gets
Yeah.
bumped into, because I know that's going to happen on a regular
That's
basis.
part of what, you've got bollards inside, so you need something, because the guy in the dumpster just dumps it,
Yeah.
shoves it, and
Right.
is
Yeah.
out of there. So you got to have,
Metal.
bollards on the backside, no matter what you put in there. Otherwise, they'll put it through the back of the fence, on a cold winter's day. That the plastic ones you get for like a fence in your yard is just a hollow.
You've seen some of these, how long they've been up and they've withstood it,
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's why we're kind of showing some
Yeah.
of that, hardy board or, kind of a Trex decking plank material. You
Well,
can hose it
Trex,
off if it
that's
gets,
always good, yeah.
More weather resistant.
yeah.
yeah, if it gets
Yeah,
tagged
go for
by
that.
graffiti,
Go for that,
you can
guys.
power wash it. You could paint it if you had to, but at least, for maintenance wise, and then you don't have to stain it. You don't have to do other, long-term maintenance on it.
Is there any other,
Any preferences, anything
Then I
that's
think-
jumping off forward? At this point, this is, a dumpster enclosure really isn't the thing that's lighting your hearts on fire.
so I would imagine, Carrie, something like that looks a lot more expensive than,
Yeah,
with
we can.
with the stone and everything, something like that's pretty.
The other thing we could
pricey.
do is we could build a spec to have option A, option B, to
Yeah.
see what the price difference is, and have something that maybe has decorative columns like this and then maybe something that's just more of a straight metal frame with metal inside, the bollards inside, and then metal framing that you don't
I'm
see.
not thinking we have to do a decorative thing like that in the back of the, I was
Right.
thinking as simple as
I'll be honest
possible,
with you, I
that's
think
sturdy.
That's too much.
That's too much. So I
Something
think-
like this?
That one's nice. That one's nice.
Something like that, maybe? I don't know
Okay.
if that's,
I mean, the
more
only thing that's
practical.
going to be the most visible, and I'm going to go
practical,
back to the street view,
Yep.
is the front. So the gate
Right.
selection is really going to be the most important thing. That's the thing you're going to see when you're driving by, if you're sitting in traffic and you happen to look over. So anything that's, to me, is more of a sealed view, like the images we were just looking at,
Right.
I think would be a
The best.
significant improvement and the best. You won't be able to see what's in there.
Right.
And this will also help address the issue of people utilizing these dumpsters as their own personal dumpster when they're in an
Yeah, that
enclosure.
happens.
Yeah.
It's less of an attractive option to try to use something that doesn't
Yeah.
belong to you.
Right.
And that's been happening here.
It'll also keep the dumpsters in that defined area that we
Yeah, so they're not moving.
anticipated and allotted for when we, repaved that parking lot and laid out the
Hatch mark.
the current, parking spaces itself. It'll help us come wintertime as we're plowing that, given that it is our parking lot, to have them contained within the same spot and not have, the garbage hauler move them around and they're here today and they're there next week. and-
Yeah, that's true, they do move around. How about if we're out and about in our travels, if we see anything that we really like?
You know what, if you see, first of all,
and we get it back to you,
you should
Carrie,
see my
too.
phone photo
Yeah,
selection.
because I asked Carrie the other day to go out and look at, and she spent the afternoon looking at it. She was.
Well,
best
I
collection of dumpster
constantly
enclosures.
take pictures of random things like streetscape things. I stop and take pictures of garbage cans. It's really a problem
It's
that I
kind of nice
have.
to borrow with pride if somebody, if somebody is doing something good somewhere else.
Yes. All right, okay.
So what if we
What do we need?
pick a vinyl that kind of matches the existing structures there? Because I think I agree that we don't need luxurious dumpster enclosures, right?
Sure.
And I would want something that's just very simplistic, and if we can save costs here within reasonable means, just a simple vinyl that's low maintenance and that seems to be,
Color-wise,
just
matching what's.
match
for the
and get the
building.
job done and call it a day,
Yes.
I
Just some, in the new.
just wouldn't be in favor of anything metal, only because it'll rust, right?
Can take a look at that. I think they do make some that will be
Yeah,
are
aluminum or
rust-
something.
that are rust resistant.
But rust resistant isn't rust proof,
Oh,
right?
okay. Well, we can find out if that's something we can look at.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at something like an aluminum type frame, or if it's an aluminum accent post, that's not going to rust.
Yeah.
Your other alternative would be stainless steel.
That other
Again,
one.
not going for the Cadillac version of dumpster enclosures.
And that's why I offer,
Just
aluminum first. So
Yeah.
something to
Well, it can be wrapped
and
aluminum.
if you're looking to do something
Just something neutral you don't see.
just to offset
Yeah.
it, to make it
Yeah.
look a little more visually appealing, that may be an option.
Ultimately, we want to make it almost invisible, so it's like not the
Yeah.
first thing you notice when you drive in.
Right.
Is our Taj Mahal dumpster enclosure.
Yeah,
Getting tagged or something.
Okay. Are
okay.
you all set then, Carrie?
Yeah, I've gotten the feedback I need, and we'll move forward.
Yes, please move.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thanks, Carrie, thanks for that. So, and next on our agenda is vehicle purchase, Mr. Tate.
Sure, thank you. And I had sent a little information, or I believe actually Carrie put a little information together, put it on the drive for me. So going back a little bit, in 2021, we had allocated and appropriated money within the building department budget towards the purchase of a vehicle. It was a vehicle intended to replace one of their building department fleet vehicles. An order was placed once build slots opened later in the year. However, the manufacturer of the vehicle actually canceled the order after the order was placed. Because of timing-wise, we had carried the money over knowing that it was going to, even if the order had been, I guess timing-wise, when the order was placed, we knew that the vehicle would not be able to be built until 2022, and the order was carried over. The money was encumbered into 2022 just because of the timing. However, with the cancellation of that order in early 2022, we had the money with the idea that we were intending on trying to place another order in 2022. Unfortunately, no build slots were available, or very, very few, if any, and most of the orders, or all of the orders that we intended on making in 2022 were also canceled, just due to material shortages by the actual manufacturers. Additionally, in 2022, we had also appropriated into the budget for the assessors department for money towards a vehicle for their, as a replacement for them as well. And kind of same story, weren't able to place any orders. Because we weren't able to do anything in 2022, For either department, the money was required by New York State finance law to revert back to general fund. We had no way to actually carry that over. Just last week, I was able to discuss with a dealership that has a piggyback contract. I've had them send me the actual piggyback contract language to verify that it is extended, is capable of being extended to, the town of Penfield. There's actually 2 different contracts that we would potentially utilize, and they do have vehicles currently on their lot that would be covered by the piggyback contract that would fit the need of the town in both the building department and the assessor's department. So if the board is agreeable, my ask on behalf of each of those departments would be I would set draft a resolution for the June 7th meeting to appropriate the money from the unassigned general fund balance, essentially where that money originally came from and where it's gone back to pull it back out for those vehicles that were already identified for replacement, but unable to be purchased.
So thank you.
Sounds good.
Again, in the original budget?
So I have a couple questions. So you provided 2 estimates. So I just want to understand, because it's a request to purchase 2 vehicles.
Correct.
And I understand that these estimates may not be the actual dollar amount with considering inflation, or is that not correct?
No, so these are the
true estimates.
these are the quotes for the vehicles that they have on their lot.
Currently.
Somewhat holding if we were willing to move forward and purchase them.
So the amount that you're asking for the resolution would be to appropriate these specific dollar amounts,
Correct.
approximately $60,000 total.
Correct.
Okay, and it's-
Yep, the 31,422 toward the assessor's department, 44250 rather, and then 30,545 specific for building.
Okay, and so it's the Chevy Bolt EV and the Trailblazer.
Correct.
Right. So you previously had provided a list of 2021 carryovers. This was in preparation of the last ledge session for items going to auction, and these 2 vehicles aren't on that 2021 carryover list. So can you tell? Go ahead.
Because they weren't, in that list, that was the DPW specific equipment.
Okay.
Just as part of the DPW goals and priorities.
Yep.
Being that these vehicles, DPW has historically made the purchases, helped coordinate the registration, the insurance, everything for the vehicles. But being that they're still part of the town fleet, but not DPW, that's why they were not on that list.
Okay, so these are going to different departments?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. But still,
We keep track of the records, do the maintenance, everything for them.
All the fleet comes through the DPW.
yep, I'm just trying to think.
They're just paid for out of the
Their budgets,
particular
their
department
specific-
budgets.
But this is coming from the unassigned general,
Right,
though.
because when they didn't,
When we weren't able to place the orders, that money reverted back to the general fund. So it's just pulling it back from where it,
So I'm just curious. So I understand that it reverted back to the unassigned. In this year's budget for those departments, did we allocate for vehicle purchases?
we did not, because we weren't sure when exactly we would be able to purchase vehicles, and with the intent that if and when build slots or any type of contract became available, that, it would come to this board for consideration to
Okay.
appropriate that money, because it wasn't a new vehicle replacement request.
Okay.
And you take delivery at Denoy or whatever in Albany, right? So there's no additional delivery charge to deliver it here?
Correct. They would actually, as part of it, would would end up delivering the vehicle to us, is the way the contracts are
Okay.
written.
I was, just looked at that quick, I didn't see an extra, sometimes depending on where you are in the state, there's an extra charge.
A
Yeah,
dollar
okay.
amount for delivery.
I just tried to look at that real quick, I didn't see it.
Thought, reading through them, that delivery was included, but I'll double check that part too.
It's not coming off of Amazon Prime?
Not from these guys.
I'm good, thank you.
Like everything.
I appreciate it. That was great to find the piggy bank because it helps us out a lot.
I'm hoping to be able to come back to you in a few more weeks with additional vehicles for some other piggyback contracts that I've been notified about, but just waiting to get all of that actual information first.
So you're going to prepare a resolution for us for,
You need a resolution, you need a motion to move to prepare the resolution?
Yes, it'd be a motion to prepare the resolution authorizing the purchase of these vehicles as well as the appropriation from the unassigned general fund balance
So,
as an amendment to the 2023 budget.
I was just going to say, it's good that you do that due diligence too, because sometimes a vendor will say, I'll extend the price to you, or say it's covered by piggyback, but unless you look for sure, that's the only way to know for sure, and so,
Nope,
thank you for doing that.
Requested, coincidentally, one of them is the piggyback contracts through the city of Yonkers, and while I don't particularly know anyone to contact there, Zach Nursing, your former employee, now works for them and was able to assist putting me in contact with someone else from the city of Yonkers to get the full contract, because the dealership only provided 5 of the 59 pages. So I was able to get that to verify the exact language, and that we're able to do such.
that was good. Good.
Thank
I'll make
goodness
the
for
motion.
piggyback contracts.
Yes.
I'll make a motion as stated to move forward for a resolution at the next sludge session.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. How about a roll call vote, Sue?
Drawe.
Aye.
Kohl.
Aye.
Lee. Ockenden.
Aye.
All aye.
Great. We have no informational items, no held items, no old business. Any new business, board? Seeing none. We have no executive session. Our next work session of the town board will be on June 21st, and I would adjourn this meeting at 8:21. Thank you.